Okay, so here's an update on how to successfully trade the market with over 90% success rate. Well, according to my back test, it's 100%, but obviously it's forbidden to say 100%. So I'm just going to be nice and say 90%, right? So sell condition is very simple. Any candle body that closes below its 50% midpoint, followed by that same candle where it's higher than the previous candle high, is going to provide you with a bias and a confirmation that the market is going to sell off. And all you got to do after is basically wait for the market to retrace to 50% of that area of that candle, and then you get your sell trade. So I'm gonna show you evidence of this on a back test from this week. Okay, so you will need two time frames for this, 30 minutes and a 5-minute time frame. And here, first example is right here. If you observe here, Asian session right here, I'm gonna zoom in so you can properly see what's going on. Let's go full screen. Okay. So, like I said, you need a candle basically where the high, okay, so the high is higher than the previous candle high. So if you notice here, the high of this candle is higher than the previous candle high. So that is step one. Step two, you want to see the candle body close below its 50%. So what does that mean? Every candle is 100%, right? So if a bearish candle is open here, and it closes here, all you gotta do is do this. Take your gun box or your Fibonacci tool, you extend it like this, right, for the whole length of the candle. And as you can see, you see the body, it closed below the 50%. So if this candle closes above 50%, right, then it closes above 50%, right? For example, this candle closes above 50%, right? So like this. Let me show you another example in the opposite direction for a buy trade. It's like so. So here, for instance, if you take this full candle here, the low is lower than the previous candle low. So that's for the buy condition. And you see the candle body, it opens here and it closed above the 50%, which is its own 50% because it's balanced, right? So everything has its own balance. So every candle has its own balance. So every candle's 50% is the midpoint. And that midpoint is going to deliver the bias. It's going to, if the price closes above that midpoint, then the bias is bullish if the low is lower than the previous candle low, right? So you have another example here. You see the low is lower than the previous candle low, and the candle closes full 100%, right? And you can see the market goes up after, right? So, for instance, this area here, as you can see, so let's go back to this area here on Monday, just in the transition from Asian session to London, we can see that this is the first bearish signal that we had. This bearish signal was actually showing us that the high was higher than the previous candle high, so that's a grab of liquidity, and the candle closed below its own midpoint, its own 50%. So it gives you a bearish bias plus a grab of liquidity. On the next candle, it retraces 50%. That is where you take your first sales trade, and then you target the opposite. So the opposite meaning here you had a buy signal. Why? Because the low of this candle and the high of this candle is here. So you see the low of this candle is lower than the previous candle low, and this candle closed, the body closed above its own 50%. So if I take my gun and I place it like so, right, you can see that the candle, if you zoom in, right, it's slightly above the 50%, and that's the bias and the grab of liquidity. So the wick lower than the previous low is the grab of liquidity. The candle body closing above its own 50% is the bias. So on the next candle, when it opens here, as you can see, it opens here, it went lower. So that's your area. You enter in this area, and then you're already being profit here. And then obviously you can ride the trend right up. So here, so that would be, if we're looking at this area of context of Monday, 12th or 23rd of December, then that was your first sell opportunity on Monday based on the understanding of this concept, which is the Enigma liquidity concept strategy. So here, that will be your first trade on Monday with this understanding, right? Because that is where the rules apply. If you see, I ignore this area because the rule did not apply. Why? Because the high of this candle is lower than this high, and even this candle body, we can see that even though this high is higher than this high, the body, we can see it closed above its 50%. So I'm going to show you, because the color of the candle does not matter, right? The color of the candle doesn't matter. So sometimes you'll have a bearish candle where the body closes above its midpoint and its low is lower than the previous candle low, and that will be your signal. So to prove to you again, that is not about the type of the candle, meaning bearish means it's going to go down, or bullish. Here is an example right here. Okay, so if you observe carefully, if you take your GAN box from this low, okay, to the high of this candle, right, you can see clearly that even though it's a bearish candle, that means the candle opened here and then it went low. It grabbed the previous lows, grabbed the previous low liquidity, and then it closed above 50% of its own midpoint. That's your bearish signal. That's your basically confirmation. It's all in one. It's a grab of liquidity and a break of fractal structure. And then on the market, the next candle, they retrace into the 50%. That is where you take your buy trade, and then the market goes up. So it's not about the color of the candle. It's really about those two confirmation that you need to get your entry point. Okay, so here again, as you can see, this area right here is above, you see above 50%, slightly above, right? So when we want to respect the rule, we do not want to take this. Even though the market did go down, great, that's nice, that's fine. You're not missing out because the opportunity came after, right? So here it's a perfect setup. Why? Because again, the high was higher than the previous candle high, fractal liquidity, and then the low of this candle, well, the close of the candle is lower than 50% of its midpoint. So 50% is here, okay? So it closed there. And on the next candle, it entered. And then that was the first rush to the downside. And like I said, they came and retest the opposite midpoint, which is here. If we drag this area to the right, we can see that's where they came and grabbed this liquidity, and then they went back up to retest this same area for the London session, right? And then that is where you could enter a second time to get the run again, because the level is respecting, right? So on the 5-minute time frame, this area right here, this is what it looks like, right? So this is where you would be entering basically based on if you entered on a 50% here on a 5-minute time frame, this is where it is. So if you zoom in here, you will see that there is a green candle, right? And this green candle on this time frame is not actually confirming that it's closing below, but our confirmation comes from the 30-minute time frame. So for example here, well, actually it did. Okay, so observe this. This is what I like to show people, because it's really not about the color of the candle, if it's bullish or bearish. It's really about these two principles, because it's a shift in balance basically. It's for the best metaphor I can use, when a child is born, he start walking and he stand up straight, right? So he goes from crawling, which is 50%, and then he stands up 100%. When people get old in general, their back start to curve down towards the midpoint, and that's like a metaphor that they're gonna sell off. They're gonna sell off on the ground, right? They're going back on the ground. So this is the same here. So it doesn't matter the color of the candle. Here you can see the high of this candle is clearly higher than the previous candle high. So that's a clear grab of liquidity. And the candle closed, even though it opened here and it closed here, you can see it closed below its 50%. So even here, you had a confirmation. And as soon as the next candle opened, it tapped the 50. You enter your trade here, and then you can see you go directly in profit. And it's the same area here, right? So that's the 5-minute example, and that's a 30-minute example, right? So I'm going to show you just a few examples quickly so that I don't make this video long. And yeah, feel free to try it and become financially free with this and contribute to a greater world, contribute, become a better person, inspire people, help the world, contribute. Start to do for others what you like them to do for you, expecting nothing in return. And then the creator is going to help bless you even more. It's going to make it easy for you to gain profit and to help more people. So here are some few highlighted examples. Like I said, you see the low is lower than the previous candle low. The candle body close above the 50%. That's your bias and the liquidity grab. The next candle the market pulls back, you take your buy trade, right? So here is another example, but you see we had no pullback on this candle, but here you have one here, right? So if you observe, and you also have a signal right here, right? So this is very precise. So if you take this candle body right here, right, you can see that its low is lower than the previous candle low. So that's your fractal grab of liquidity, right? That's your grab of liquidity right here. And the fact that this candle closed above the 50%, that's your bias. Now you can see it retraced more than 100% before it went back. So your range to entry when the candles are like this is here, right? But that's not the only signal that they gave in this area. The next candle, this candle, also provided a signal. If you take your gun and you place the gun at the low of this candle, which is right here, and you place this at the high of this candle, which is right here, right? So we can clearly see the body closed above the 50% and the previous candle, and the low is lower than the previous candle low. That's also another buy signal. The market retraced more than 50%, and then that is the area from here to here. That is where you're looking to take your buy trades. So if we go and look at this area on the 5-minute time frame, we can see that this is located right here, right at the bottom, right here, right? And that is because this is highly accurate, and it's because, again, they are basically responding to this internal area where you see the low is lower than the previous candle low, and the candle definitely closed above 50%. So here again, that's the fractal perspective on the 5-minute time frame, and then that will be your range to enter on the 50% right here. So you can see that same range I just created on the 5-minute time frame where the market tapped. You see how precise it is, because now that confirmation was based on this this area right here, right? So this area right here, right, which is the week, right? And that is why it's fractal. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Feel free to backtest it. Obviously, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that 2025 is going to be the best year for you ever. My name is Nico Picasso. I am nothing without Allah. I ask Allah for 100% success with trading strategy, and He gave it to me so that we can contribute together to make a better world, to make Him proud, to give back love and bring justice. So I need your help to do this. That means I'm giving you this formula for free so that you can be grateful, so that you can see that God exists, that human lies. They tell you it's not possible to have 100% winning rate, but it's not true, because God created everything. And if God created everything, that means He has the answers and He has the truth on everything. So if you seek His forgiveness and you ask Him to guide you towards the truth that you are seeking, He will guide you. So I encourage you to really use this strategy to become infinillionaire, because trillionaire has a limit cap, but infinillionaire, that is going to be the new term for 2025. You heard it here first. So yeah, become one and then serve the world. Become a servant of the world. That means you do for others what you like them to do for you, expecting nothing in return, and then you contribute to a better society, a positive society, because the deep state has fallen. Thanks for watching, and I love you all, and God loves you more.